Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our very special Hidden Gem segment tonight. We are joined by two phenomenal women upholding two very important positions in the city and county of San Francisco. We are so excited to have the Honorable Mayor London Breed, who will be joining us shortly, and the esteemed Executive Director of the Human Rights Commission, Sheryl Davis, here with us tonight. And also we have D'Anthony, who is familiar to the platform. We're so excited to have him back. And for this segment, we will not be taking questions and answers, as the segment is really put together because we want to highlight Mayor Breed and Director Davis. So if you want to show appreciation in the chat or through Facebook Live, we really welcome you to. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it to Rico to start us off for the night.
All right, I'm your co-host and co-founder of Both Sides of the Conversation. I'm Rico Hamilton, and
I'm John Henry, co-founder of Both Sides of the Conversation.
And Both Sides of the Conversation, this is our Hidden Gem segment where we highlight people who are doing amazing things in the African American and Latino community. Also, we highlight businesses that are doing things because we do say, buy Black, buy Black, buy Black. So we have some amazing folks that I've been knowing for a very, very, very long time who's been doing some amazing stuff in the community from the ground all the way up. I'm very familiar with a lot of the work that they do and the work that they continue to do. I'm always going to be here for them and be there for them. One of our things that we always say here on Hidden Gems is we want to give you your roses while you're here. We don't want to wait. We want to make sure that we honor all the people that are doing amazing stuff in our community so they can keep the momentum going and we can support them in whatever way that we possibly can. John, did you have anything before we actually jump off?
I just want to say thank you, Director Davis, for all the amazing things that you're doing. As I mentioned earlier, just educating, continue to make sure education is a priority for our youth, making sure that the community is unified and making sure that things are being done in the community. Just respect and thank you for your leadership and your openness to making sure that things are done for us in our community. So we appreciate for having you on tonight.
All right, Jada, can you just be checking the attendees to if the mayor come in? We don't want to keep her down. So we want to make sure that she's able to get on board. So without further ado, we can just jump right on in. We have an amazing person who's been doing some amazing stuff since day one. I met Director Davis back in, I think 2000 and I think it was 5 or 2004, maybe 6-ish. She was on the ground. She was in some of the roughest areas of the community, and she was really putting in a lot of work. Hold on, I want to make sure I got some tissue right here just in case, because I really love Miss Davis. She is always on my heart, always on my mind, for all the love that she has for the community, but then all the joy that she brings to our young people. She has taught me so much as it relates to educating our young people and making sure that I'm 100% okay to make sure that I can give my best to these young people. Without further ado, I definitely would just want to ask Miss Davis, Director Davis, because it's hard. Look, I always say Miss Davis, Director Davis. I don't want nobody bashing me. Director Davis, is there anything you want to say? Just real quick before we get to, before I give you all the accolades, if you had any statement or anything.
I mean, I will say hello first and foremost to folks. Second, I'm looking at the boxes here and the faces and the folks, and so I'm glad to meet and come into conversation with Jada. I'm grateful for John Henry's direct and saying what he got to say in these different spaces and places and engaging him over the last few months. But you and D'Anthony, I'm glad to be sitting here with y'all because, you all represent in so many different ways, just the journey, right? Like this work and the evolution. Rico, I just appreciate you because when and the mayor's not on yet, but when the mayor had said, oh, you should go over and kind of work at Ella Hill, make sure it stays open during the summer, that it doesn't get closed down. We didn't have money, we didn't have ideas, we had ideas, but we didn't have money, but we didn't have any ideas of where the money was gonna come from, right? And I remember like coming to you and saying, Rico, like will you come? Like, will you come in here? Will you help us? Right? Like, I don't know if you ever get paid. I don't know if you ever gonna have, like, if this is a job, but we need this for community. You and James and, a lot of other folks came to bat. And so I just wanted to say and acknowledge and recognize you for that, because that is huge in and of itself. And just really appreciate that you took that leap. And then when I think about Mr. DeAnthony Jones, right? Who, I remember somebody telling me, don't break his spirit, because I used to be like, DeAnthony, I need you. Hey, Rico, remember when I gave him that thesaurus for his Christmas gift and said, I want you to use this before you use a word. So his love and his passion is great. And I always, I know the mayor is joining us, I always typically have blamed her for that evolution, because she saw something in me I didn't see in myself, in terms of saying, you should go to Ella Hill, we got to keep it open, we got to keep it going. And the mayor put that on me. And so the ability to work with DeAnthony and Rico, the good days and the bad days, I blame on you, Mayor Breed, because you kind of put Ella Hill Hutch in my path.
Sorry.
And we also have our mayor here, the Honorable Mayor London Breed. I definitely, first want to highlight you and just tell you thank you for doing all the amazing stuff in our community. I might need my tissue for this one too, because I love you with all my heart for all the stuff that you have done in our community, from the ground level to where you're at now. It's 100% deserving, and we want to give you your accolades right now. Here at both sides of the conversation, our belief is 100% giving our people their roses while they're here, and making sure that they know and the community know all the amazing things that's going on. Sometimes they don't know, but we want to make sure they know all the amazing stuff that you do. So I definitely just want to turn it over to you if you had anything that you did want to say before we continue on.
Well, first of all, I'm just glad to be here. It is really challenging during COVID not to be able to be together in person. And I gotta say, I appreciate that so much more than I've ever appreciated that before. And I miss my community. We've had some, ups and downs in the community over the years. But what I appreciate is just the genuine love that comes from people like you, Rico, like Sheryl, like DeAnthony and others who have been in the trenches for so long that sometimes, it feels like a thankless job. And I appreciate you more than anything. I appreciate the fact that you do so much for the community and you put so many people ahead of yourself. It's amazing, and I'm grateful. So I'm just happy to be here. And yes, there's a lot that we do. And I want to make sure that what we do actually supports the community. Now, I know people are used to London Breed at the Cultural Center, where they come to my office and they ask for stuff, and I take care of what it is that they need. But I'm London Breed, the mayor now. And what that means is all of us have to play a role in making sure that the community gets what it needs. It can't just be up to me. It can't just be up to you, Rico, or Sheryl, or Victor, and others who continue to help support the community. We all got to do our part. We all got to make sure that we are taking advantage of this opportunity. I can't say it enough. I want us to take advantage of this opportunity. I mean, think about it. I was able to redirect $120 million from the police department to the African-American community. I'm still waiting on the community suggestions. I know Sheryl is trying to work that out as we speak, but you know what I want? I want this money not to go in the hands of nonprofits, even though we know there are a lot of great nonprofits doing incredible work. I want it to be down payment assistance for people like you in the community to buy a home in San Francisco. I want it to be universal income for Black men, boys between the ages of 18 and 24 who are just trying to figure it out and get it together so that they don't feel like they have to do something other than something legitimate in order to make a living. And so that we have the opportunity to help them get on the right path. I want to make the connection between the dollars this city spends and the help it provides directly to people. Sadly, at the African American Art and Culture Complex, how many funerals have we had to help support and pay for? How many checks that we've had to write, or people we've had to feed, or clothes we had to buy for back to school, or computers, or all this stuff for the kids? I want people to have the ability to take care of themselves. That's my goal. And so as we open the doors to this conversation and start to talk about some of those things, I'm just hopeful that people feel inspired and they come to the realization that they don't have to say, and this is the problem sometimes with our community, don't say, oh, Rico always getting the love. He always this, don't say that. Show Rico some love and then try to help Rico or try to set up your own thing. Let's start loving on one another. Let's start lifting one another up. Let's stop hating on each other. Because it's like 3 of us left in this city. We got to get it together. And that's what I know this conversation is about. How are we going to get it together to elevate Black people in this city so that I can look back on the work I did, not just as mayor, but also in the community and everything that I committed my life to. So I can look back and say, you know what? We made a difference. And that's what we're here to do, is to make a difference. So thanks for the opportunity to participate.
No, I just want to thank you again. I'm sitting here and I'm like, you and Ms. Davis always get my eyes to water. So I thank you and I love both of you so much. John, if you had anything, I can go right into the first question if you had.
I just wanted to say thank you, Mayor Breed, and the community is here tonight to support you, and I'm glad you made that point. That's one of me and Rico's thing here. We are trying to unite our community, get behind our leadership and support them, stop all the divisiveness that's going on, because we don't want our leaders and our elected officials to walk away and the community feels, what did they do for me? And that's why this segment is so important, our hidden gem segment, because this segment is for you guys, to highlight you, give you the praise, give you the homage, and let you know that we appreciate you. We appreciate the things you're doing for the community. Put the politics to the side. You are a sister. And we have to definitely continue to support that. And all the love, I see people in the comments sharing love, because that's what this is about. We just want you to know we're proud of you. You fight the good fight, because of the decision and the things that you've done, some of the unpopular things for the community, making everyone stay home. I grew up in the Bayview, and, the health conditions and the health asthma and things that people deal with, you making that swift decision to say, hey, we shutting it down and stay home was very important. So leadership, it's about being open to different things and sometimes doing the things that's not popular. So we appreciate you. A lot of the educators wanted to reach out tonight and let you know that thank you for continuing to support our educators and keeping them safe, supporting our students. The mayor program, the employment program is doing some amazing things for the young people in our community, the bridging the gap for the scholarships. So just want to say thank you for that, and just blessed to have you as a mayor doing major things for our city. So we just appreciate you here.
You just saying that because you a Leo too.
That too. I couldn't figure it out and put it all together. It did. 7 days before my birthday, you popped up on my Instagram and I said, that's what it is. Leo power, great leadership. Obama, a lot of great leaders is on Leo. So that's that Leo thing. I understand.
Nice.
Okay, so I'll go directly into the first question. So going into the new year, I guess this can be for both of you as it relates to both of your positions, Director Davis and Mayor Breed. Going into the new year, what are the things you're looking forward to for San Francisco for the new year?
Ooh, there's so many things I know I'm looking forward to. I'm hitting the block. I want everybody to hug me when I come out, when we can hug. When COVID goes away and we can hug, we hugging. I'm hitting the block. I want to just hang out for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just to take it all in. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm looking forward to. And the fact is, I just wanted to say, you know, and go back to COVID. We just administered the first vaccines today at San Francisco General. And I gotta be honest, you know, I know how we are as Black folks about a vaccine, because the first thing, and you know, I'm mayor, right? The first thing when my staff was like, yeah, we need to do this with you taking the vaccine and everything. And I said, I'm not taking no vaccine. And you know what? You know, we all know what that stems from, because my grandmother, you know, she was around during the Tuskegee experiment. Her family remembers and understands the trauma inflicted on African Americans during that time, where our people were used as guinea pigs to try and figure this stuff out. And so I know that people have a lot of concern. What is this going to do for me? Look, I'm not telling people what to do. You have to feel comfortable. But what I don't want to do is, I don't want to live like this longer than we have to. And that's why I got a flu shot, because I didn't want any mix up between COVID and all this other stuff. And as soon as whenever my turn comes up to do the vaccine, I will, because I want us to be able to get back to life as we know it. And I don't want people in the African American community to be afraid. I do think we're going to have some real conversations and be able to talk about our feelings and why we feel this way, and whether or not we can get other folks on board with it. I'm looking forward to the day when we can go outside and kick it. I'm looking forward to the day, you know, I miss people, I miss events, I miss everything. I miss all the interaction. I miss everything that we normally would do that we would take for granted. You know, this is stuff we always did, so we take it for granted. And now that we have to keep our distance from one another, we can't do it. What this should have taught us, what COVID should have taught us during these past 9 months, is how to appreciate life, how to appreciate one another, how to value, you know, people, and the fact that we need each other. Because not being able to interact with people has been the most challenging thing. People think, oh, the decisions and all that, yeah, those are hard, but the most challenging part of my experience during COVID was not being able to interact with people, and other than the Zoom conversations, right? I want to see somebody in person. And so I'm looking forward to, you know, going to everybody's baby shower, birthday party, event, any celebration, invite me. And if I can get there, I will be there.
Well, I mean, I would say, some of you all know this, I'm not a hugger, right? But I would, I am at the point where I might let somebody hug me when it's time to, when we come out of the pandemic. I mean, I think what I'm most excited for and what I want to see on the other side of this is that I'm happy for like the work and the foundation that the mayor has laid. And I want to see what this looks like when we're on the other side, that we're actually in a place where we're addressing some of the disparities and the issues and challenges that existed before the pandemic. And that I know that we're not going to be like, okay, good, let's go back. That, you know, the mayor has like put in these things that are going to change the way that we ultimately have operated and functioned. And I'm like, I want to see that in real time. Like, I want to see it face to face. I want to be in community with folks. Like, I do love being in community, so I'm excited for that. But I'm excited to see what it looks like on the other side, because there are some things that are happening that are rolling out that are going to change the status quo. I mean, fueled by the work that, you know, John Henry, Jada, Rico, that you all are doing to call out stuff, but that the mayor is like, yeah, I also want to know, like, what's the impact? Why are we spending money on that if it ain't, I mean, you know, John Henry, I give you a hard time, but you sound like the mayor. The mayor be like, wait, why are we spending money on that? Like, where, like, does it work? So I want to see on the other side when people can no longer hide behind, well, everything's virtual, and they have to actually do it. And I want to see how people respond to the accountability that the mayor is requiring.
Oh, definitely. We have to have that accountability for sustainability for our community in the future, and it's important. And thank you, Ms. Davis, for the stuff you continue to support with new ideals, staying open, and trying to refigure these things out to make it more sustainable for us. So thank you for that. The other question we had, a lot of people was asking, how is the city supporting businesses during this COVID? We see it on the news, it's a lot of closing, leases being renewed, restaurants, and things of that closing. A lot of people, anxiety is high, who's single family business owners. What does the support look like from the city in this re-shutdown?
Well, even though it's a lot, and it was a lot in the beginning, we've been in this for almost a year. So one of the things we did in the beginning was to provide these $50,000 what are considered loans to African American businesses that have been around for some time. And the good news is, I'll have an announcement soon about the possibility of doing even more, which is going to make a lot of those folks really happy. I can't say what that is, but we have private dollars to help to assist in that. And the sad reality is, even with the no interest loans that sometimes can be forgivable, which is possible, even with the additional funding and the waiving of the permits and all the fees and delaying permits and fees and cutting certain things that people typically have to pay for that they don't have to pay for, it's still going to be hard. This is not just a problem unique to San Francisco. This is a problem all over the country. And we cannot do this with just San Francisco resources alone. I had to fill a $1.5 billion budget deficit, and I have a $650 million budget deficit, which possibly means layoffs. So think about it. We have seen almost 300,000 San Franciscans in a population of not even 900,000 people apply for unemployment. I didn't lay off one city worker. But that's going to change, maybe, because of the situation the city's in. And when these businesses aren't doing business and they can't afford to pay the city, then guess what? Our revenues go down. And as much as we've given a lot of resources to some businesses, not all, it's still never going to be enough. Part of what we are trying to do through this whole process that Speaker Pelosi is working on in Washington, D.C., through the PPP loans, the first round of PPP loans didn't make it to these small businesses because of all these, issues. These are things that we're trying to fix so that this next round can actually have an impact. And I think the bigger thing that people should understand is they may be called loans, but the ability for them to be loans that are not paid back is contingent upon how long we're in this and whether or not that business even comes back. So it is complicated. It is frustrating. I put Proposition H on the ballot. I want to thank the voters for passing that, because that gets rid of all the bureaucratic crap that gets in the way of people trying to do business in the city in the first place. We grew up with icy houses and places in our neighborhood. You could go to anybody's house and get a sandwich or stuff we used to do back in the day. And then we know we had a lot of Black businesses in San Francisco. All of a sudden, it's so complicated. It's so hard to start a business. And we wonder why we don't have Black businesses, even when we provide resources. Why are they not thriving in a place like San Francisco? So there's just a lot of work to do that we're going to continue to do. That's why we called out these loans specifically targeted at the African American community. And the private sector has jumped in, and we'll be making, hopefully soon, some announcements about what they want to do to support Black businesses. We're doing what we can, but what we can is not going to be enough. We're going to need support from the federal government, and then we're going to need people to be fair. Like, some businesses are really struggling. If you're okay and you're doing well, don't take a PPP loan. Don't take a no interest loan. Don't take the money if you know that you're fine, right? Because there's a lot of other people out there that's about to lose their home and all kinds of other things because they're not generating any money. So this is going to be a hard time for all of us. We have a few more announcements. There's been a lot that we've done, but it's not enough. And we have a few more announcements that I'm hoping to make in the future. But it's going to be hard over the next couple of years for business in general. And I'll say lastly, we can't chase big business out of San Francisco, because the fact of the matter is they're going to make their money. You know, at the end of the day, if they're not making it in San Francisco, they'll find some other way to make it. How do we make sure that they're here and they're accountable to us? How do we make sure that we have those jobs, we have that tax revenue, we have those community benefits in a fair, equitable way? So they're not just robbing from the city, they're giving back to the city. I just got Airbnb to give $25 million to help with homelessness in San Francisco, where we have almost 40% of the people in the city are homeless. Like getting them to be accountable, to give and to support things that are important in our city. So we don't have to say, go away, we don't want you here. No, we want you here, but we want you to work with us and make sure that we're an important part of what you are also doing. So lots to do, more to come. We're not done. And shop at your local businesses, by the way. Spend money. I've been spending money all over the city. I go on walks. I buy stuff from all these businesses. I take cash so I don't have to blow my cover. You know, the other day I
don't want to give your disguise away, but it's a good disguise.
No, don't tell anybody. I went one day, I didn't have enough money. I had to go run. I said, let me run to the ATM. I'll be right back. You know, went back, you know, it just, support your small businesses. If you can, if you're buying Christmas gifts and things, they got so many great stores on Clement Street in the Haight, on Fillmore, like just little shops with all kinds of really cool things. So do what you can to shop locally.
Thank you.
Before you go, Jada, don't forget to get your London lemonade and your Sheryl Davis strawberry.
Hey, Rico, how come you didn't tell me? I'm like, I didn't even know. They were like, did you get that Sheryl Davis? I was like, Sheryl Davis what? I didn't even know. Now I gotta like, you know, I don't even be wearing it every day. Now I gotta get some.
I haven't got mine yet, Rico.
I recommend them
I still
both.
got it in my car. Every time I drove past you, I get scared because I see all them police around there.
You know, I don't be no police around here. That was those protesters.
So the next question that we have that is particularly important that we got to parents, caregivers, educator in regards to reopening of schools. As reports have shown, as we know, the educational learning gap is widening. And we just wanted to know, is there a reopening plan for schools here in the city?
So finally, there is a reopening plan. And I want to also be clear, I don't necessarily have control over the school district. The decisions are made by the school board and the superintendent, but we provided them with financial resources to help with their deficit. And we also have provided them with resources from our staff and our teams and our consultants and others to help them develop the plan to get the schools back open. Now, based on our shelter in place orders, we still have the ability to move forward. Once we're able to get to a better place, we should be simultaneously making sure that we're getting our schools ready so that from day one, when the possibility to open whatever school is available, we have to do it. You know, look, I'm not pointing the finger at anyone, the school district or what have you, but based on the data and from a lot of our doctors and others, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to open elementary schools. We're working with the teachers union to put the right testing in place to keep them safe, a lot of the educators. We have our Department of Public Health evaluating all the various schools, and we've done completely with all the elementary schools. I can't commit anything in terms of when it might open, but you know, we are being as aggressive as we can with the school district and providing as many resources as we can so that they can open. So I definitely strongly suggest that anyone who is really concerned continues to contact the school district so that they know that this is important, because there are private schools right now that are open. They're still open. And so when you think about the disparities that exist and you look at the test scores and the other challenges specifically faced by African-American kids, guess who's going to be hurt the most? Black kids in this city. So look, I am going to continue to be as aggressive as I can, and try what I can to get these schools open. It's really important, but I do think that pressure needs to be put on the school district and the officials of the school district and the teachers union.
Director Davis, what are your thoughts on that? I know that you've done a lot of work in trying to close the gap, even when school was in, and we're doing a lot of work around summer loss and like how do we continue to close those gaps? I just wanted to hear like what was your thoughts around that?
Well, I mean, in all honesty, and I appreciate, the mayor's push because we do need the schools to do that. But I think, the mayor and I and you and DeAnthony and other folks know, like, we also know, like, there's a gap, right? There's going to be a worse gap after we come through this process. And that ultimately, this is why, for all those years, we did the different summer camps and the programs and the distribution of books and all of that. I think that we have to have a both and approach. I think the schools need to open back up, but there were missteps for specifically Black kids before the pandemic. Things have gotten worse. I was just talking to somebody. The mayor's point is right on. She's right on point, right? Like, there are schools that are open, right, that are happening. They're doing the work. They have kids with teachers. They're like in person. They're having hands-on activity and engagement. And then our neighborhoods where our kids need more support, they're struggling to get online. Right, if we think about like some of the different spots in Potrero or Bayview where Wi-Fi is spotty, even for everybody, right? And now you talk about 3-4 people sharing, trying to be online at one time, right? Like when my son comes home, I'm like, you can be on from this hour, I'm gonna be on from this hour, because if we on at the same time, nobody's on. So I think that those are the challenges, and that we ultimately, that's why I appreciate people like Mr. Shell and Miss Diane and folks who are taking the books, right? Like the mayor is giving money, we're taking books, that folks are taking those books to kids, and the art supplies, sorry, John Henry, that they coloring on the walls, but that we're getting that stuff into community, right? And that we're doing workshops, we're doing all of these pieces. Like, we're gonna have to continue.
And the learning hubs, Sister Davis, the learning hubs. Like, we got people who are city staff who work for Rec and Park who are overseeing these learning hubs in the park and rec sites, but we can't take on all the kids. And people are asking me, well, why aren't you using the schools? There's plenty of room, even if we did outdoor learning using the schoolyards. But again, that's not my call, even though it's frustrating to see.
Yeah.
And I get it. The school district, nor did I plan for a global pandemic. So we all are struggling here, but instead of saying what we won't do, we should be talking about what we will do. And we should be sacrificing more for kids, because this is borderline criminal what's happened to young people in this city. And it was hard with the whole closing of the playgrounds. You all remember when my health official said, the fight I had to do to get these playgrounds reopened. I didn't want to close the playgrounds. I had to support my health professionals and respect what they said they were doing. But I was concerned, like, the kids, they don't have school, and we're going to take the playgrounds. We could even limit it to elementary school kids only, because we know that the transmission with elementary school kids seems almost non-existent. So let's make sure we use the day in the right way. And finally, the state did the right thing and said, yeah, we can open up, keep playgrounds open. But this is tough for all of us, but it's going to be worse for our children. The impacts of what is happening now in terms of their ability to learn in some level of an environment is going to impact them for years to come.
And it is an equity issue, especially when you talk about playgrounds where some people maybe have backyards where they don't need a playground, right? Like, so what does that look like for us to own and talk about? Like, it's not all equal. So I'm grateful for the learning hubs. I'm grateful for the flexibility for the DC Department of Children, Youth, and their families to allow programs that are funded to adapt and modify so that they can meet those needs. But ultimately, the community takes care of itself, and so we got to continue to recognize and support those efforts of folks that are just getting it done, right?
Definitely. I think that's very important. I know we're getting close to our time with you guys tonight. But that's a great question. I mean, that you put out there, Ms. Davis, about the community. And we have to support you guys as well. And, people out in the community leaders doing stuff, people are on official business on the behalf of the office of the mayor and you guys' offices have to play our part too. Come to the community, be professional, show up, have the same values and principle that our mayor and Ms. Davis have for the community, because it's important. We are representing them when we in the community doing things, even if they're not present. So we have to make sure that we help support them so that they can be successful in what they're doing while they're advocating. So I just wanted to put that out there for our community people. We have to keep that energy for supporting you guys.
Okay, well, I got a quick two-part question before you ladies go. So during this global pandemic and with George Floyd, we've had a huge uprise in community effort, either via Facebook or just work people are doing, just trying to uplift each other. As it relates to the work that you're doing, Director Davis, how can we can continue folks to continue to do that type of work and continue to support your efforts? Also, Mayor Breed, we had an amazing turnout in terms of the election year. We had a lot of people come out, which is great. How can we help support what you have going on in passing initiative, props, and bonds moving forward for San Francisco?
Cheryl, you wanna?
I mean, ultimately, we've all been through. That's who I say, I was telling somebody the other day, like, I feel like the older I get, the softer I get. And I'm like, oh man, I get more emotional and sentimental and all of that. But then I remember, I don't know if you remember, Mayor Breed, one time we were in the basement of City Hall before they took those rooms for the bikes. And we were in there with Sharon Hewitt. And I don't know, and I got like all emotional. I was like, man, we just be trying to like help community, and then they like come for you and attack you, and you were like, come on, we just go do this work, right? Like you were just like, let's just do the work. And I appreciate that framing, because we're at this point in this place in time where we just got to do the work, right? I really appreciate, then London, now then supervisor, now mayor, like around that point. Because in those moments when communities sometimes forget whose side we're all on or like what we're fighting for, she always is like saying to me, let's just do the work, right? Like Sister Davis, Cheryl, don't trip on what they saying. Like, we know what we're doing, let's just do it. And I think the struggle as we come to this place now, the mayor has allocated $120 million, right? We spent all of this time, like we've had over 60 meetings, we've had conversations, we're like getting ready to roll it out. And now people are like ready to do like we always do, right? Like to duke it out or talk about who got it, who didn't. And I just keep hearing like the mayor in my head just saying like, just do the work, right? Like, let's just get through it. Let's push it out. Let's get the money out there. And I think the most important thing for me is if we can stay centered on what's best for the folks, right? Like what's gonna have the most impact. Let's get that out there. Like, truth of the matter is, like, there have been all these conversations, 50 years worth of studies and what we need to do. Like, we have money. The mayor has put the money there, and like, even that's not a win, right? Like, it's $120 would be more than what we had before. She did 120 million and people still like, like we still can't get it together. And so as we move through this next phase, I just hope people will own and acknowledge and be real about, this is huge. Everybody around the country is talking about reparations or Black Lives Matter, or we need to do this and we need to do that. We actually did it here, and people aren't like yelling it from the rooftop saying like, this is amazing, like we got this money, right? They just going, it's not enough. It's more than we had. So as we get ready to move forward, I'm like, everybody's not going to get a piece of change. Everybody's not going to like the way it rolls out, but can we just all be grateful that we had leadership that said, we're going to put $120 million to Black folks and to what Black folks want. And then let's just make sure that it happens and it's successful, right? Like, that's what I want. I don't care who gets it. I want to make sure, even if it's somebody that's like chopping me up, that we make sure they're successful, because their success or their failure falls back on all of us. So at the end of it, no matter who gets it, like, let's just make sure as a community, as a group, as a city, that it all works, because this is what we've been asking for. And we don't want it to be used to talk about the mayor or to talk about, that's why they don't give us nothing. Let's just make sure on the other side of it, it all works and it's what it needs to be.
Yeah, and you know what? At the end of the day, and this is why I don't get caught up in the drama of it all. Because I can't control what other people say. I can only control what I say and what I do and what my actions mean. And when I think about, my actions and what I want to accomplish for our community, if I get distracted by people who don't have good intentions and have a lot of negative energy and divisive conversations, how are we going to ever get anywhere? I remember when we almost lost Ella Hill Hutch Community Center. And that year at the African American Art and Culture Complex, I had plans. I had plans, and there was money that I needed that I wasn't going to get. And we had some cuts here and there. I had plans. But what happened that year before Sheryl took over, when we saw we were about to lose one of our most important community assets, guess what a lot of us did under Sheryl's leadership? We all came together. Weren't you working at Ross's office at the time? We all came together for one cause, to save Ella Hill. Yeah, we wanted money ourselves because we weren't balling like that, but it wasn't about us. It was about all of us, right? It wasn't just about me. It was about what happens. The first thing people are going to say, oh, we lost Ella Hill Hutch, right? And the fact that we had to put aside what we wanted for ourselves or our own organizations to do what was in the best interest of the community as a whole. Don't just complain that Juneteenth is only one day and you're not even actively engaged in helping to coordinate and do all the work that goes into sustaining it. Let's not complain about what somebody's not doing. Let's figure out how we're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to help them. So the way that you help is change your attitude first, and let's start uplifting each other. Let's start putting out the positive messages and images, and let's celebrate each other and make sure that it's not just about us. Because you know what? If any of you fails, I fail. If you guys don't succeed, I don't succeed. You have to understand that's how I feel. And what that means is we have to do better as a community. We have an incredible opportunity. And part of where you can get involved, there are job opportunities, there are commission opportunities where I appoint people to the fire commission, the police commission, the health commission, the airport commission. There are all these opportunities. What do you want to do and where do you want to serve? How do you want to be of service? How are we going to change the outcomes of this community? I can't do it by myself. All of you are a part of the solution. So I'm really counting on you. And what that means is that we have to always hold each other up, because it's a tough time right now. I'm having a hard time. But at the end of the day, we got to do better, because what we want to do is exactly what Sheryl said. We want to look back and say, that worked. Look at the difference it's making. Look at all these kids that we graduating from college. Look at what's happening to our young people. Look at how now they're taking over the city. Look at how now they're pushing us old folks out of the way. Look at how this young person think he know everything, because he do. Look at all of this is what our goal should be. This is what our goal should be. This is my goal. And I can't do it alone. So I'm counting on each and every one of you. Our community has really had a lot of tragedy. We know just recently how hurtful it was to lose Chi-Chi, who was one of those people who cared about young people, who did so much. He gave of himself to help support people. And when I think about how we don't do enough as a community to show love and appreciation to people like Chi-Chi, to people like Rico, to people like Nate Ford and Victor Jones, and folks who are always, LaRon Mayfield, folks who have always been there. Sheryl Davis, James, Stank, people who are putting the community first. So let's start supporting them, and let's start making sure that we are doing our part to be a part of the solution. Even if we, I remember, and I'll tell this, I know I start talking, going on and on. At the Cultural Center, when I was the director, there were certain people from the community, Monique, who lived in the Banneker's, and some other folks, they just showed up. They just showed up, and next thing you know, we didn't tell them what to do. They just showed up, and all of a sudden she's serving food. All of a sudden they wrap in presents. All of a sudden people are doing things. And all of us need to do our part, because for whatever reason, when we do our part, it works. It works better than anything I've ever seen. And it's something we can all be proud of, that we played a role in making a difference in our community. This is our time. This is when we can have an impact. I'm here to help support you. I want you to take advantage of this. And I want you to make magic happen for the people in San Francisco, specifically the African-American community. So we don't look back on my time as mayor and say we failed Black people in San Francisco. We want to turn things around. So I want to thank you, Rico, for both sides of the conversation. I love how you are bringing folks on here and having these kind of relaxing, fun conversations, but also holding people accountable, because that's what it's about. Accountability for us as people who deserve a lot more than we've had to experience in this city. And we're going to get there. I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic about the future, especially because I know that the people who are participating in this call tonight really care about seeing good things happen for African Americans here in San Francisco. So I appreciate being a part of the conversation.
While you were talking, what I was just thinking about, like, I had a flashback when you were talking about the Cultural Center and all of that. And I'm like, all of this is, I was just the other day talking to somebody about like radically simple, and like just a simple act of the cult. I'm remembering that you used to do the summer camp, and Yolanda and Lisa and all of them were doing programming. That's when I first met Ramat, or what right? Like,
names.
But that something as simple as just giving folks a place to go over the summer, like that 2-3 week programming that y'all were doing, that the school was doing, and the church, and like that has grown in terms of our ability, like the community, the connection, the love, and that heartfelt. And I really appreciate you ending on that language and term around accountability, because it's just the old school, like, what you doing? Right? Like it's the grandma look, it's the, you know better than that. Right? And so I just feel like John Henry and Rico and Jada have been trying to call people into that. Like, how do we hold each other accountable? It is the sneaking candy out of somebody's purse on Sunday in church, and then they look over at you like, don't you unwrap that, because everybody gonna hear it. Or popping gum, right? Like when you pop the gum and somebody look at you like, right, like that accountability where we should be able to just look at each other and do that. And so I just appreciate that you are fostering that spirit. I'm grateful for this space, because, again, it makes me think about those moments of being in community and we all looking at somebody or some young person and trying to be like, stop that running, right? Like the 3 in the elevator, don't push all those buttons, like all of these pieces. And I'm just really grateful, because it just takes us back to. And I just wanted to end really with that spirit of, as people talk about all of these different things, like what brings me joy and what I know and why I continue to push in this work is that regardless to what politics and policies and things people say, I know the relationship that London Breed has with community and her commitment to that. And that as we have done this work, like I know she went into office to change what's going to happen in community for the next London Breed, the next Rico Dub, the next John Henry, like whatever that looks like, that it's like, how do we create that change? And so when people come with that, like I know where her heart is, and I know that this work is really about, so when you talk about the hidden gem, like it really is about like, how do we make things better? Right. And I pray we are not like some of the older regime that when the time comes, we do give up our seat and pass or give up the baton and move out the way. I'm hoping, I'm praying that I will not be the one that somebody's like, oh my God, here she go again.
Well, we're going to do our best to not let that happen. You know, here, both sides of the conversation, we are trying to intentionally educate the community, support the community, and we're trying to lead by leadership. And having me and Rico, me coming from District 10, him coming from District 5, uniting, trying to show through leadership we can work together. And that's what we're trying to do here. But definitely accountability. You heard from the mayor. What can you do to serve? To our parents, to our community leaders? What steps are we going to take to make our community better? And eliminating this violence, holding our young people just as accountable as our adults. So thank you guys. Rico, you got any last words before the mayor leaves?
All I can say is that I love you both so much. I was the dance instructor under London, and then Sheryl came in and gave me a CD. I knew it was real when she gave me the CD. She said, "You ain't gonna play all that fast stuff." Not with these girls. Right. Which was fine with me. Thank you so much for all the amazing work that both of you do. We're 100% committed to sticking and staying by your side and making sure whatever we can do to hold individuals accountable to the work, but then also being held accountable to what they say, especially about you two. Because I know I've seen through with my own eyes. It's not nothing that I'm just saying just to be off the fly. I've seen you on the ground, support families during funerals. I've seen you do all the stuff on the ground, and just to elevate to where you are is just through the hard work that you have put in. So I'm forever indebted to the amazing work that you do for the community and and I say community, and that, you know, the community is like my whole family. So, you know, thank you so much for what you do for the fam.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Anthony, you want to say something real quick?
Yes, just to the mayor's point, if you are interested in commissions, please email mayor.appointments@sfgov.org.
Or you can call DeAnthony.
Jada, last words, Jada, you got something to say before the mayor leaves?
Nothing to say other than so excited to have had you both on the platform. You both are such an inspiration, and just to have you here is amazing.
Thank you, Jada. We appreciate you.
All right, and that's our show for tonight, Hidden Gems. If you want to get in contact with both sides of the conversation, please hit us up at bothsidesoftheconversation@gmail.com. If you know a Black business that needs to be highlighted so we can support them, if you know folks in the community that's doing the work, please email us at bothsidesoftheconversation@gmail.com. Remember, every Thursday we have Educational Thursdays where we're doing amazing stuff around investments, around insurance, around all this different stuff. So that's every Thursday at 7 o'clock. Both Sides of the Conversation on Facebook. You can find us on our platform, or you can actually join the webinar. And on Sundays, we have our Sunday chat at 2 o'clock. Please join us. And that's Rico. And my guy over there, what's his name?
John Henry, co-founder of Both Sides of the Conversation. And this Sunday, this Sunday is an important conversation. We're having the Black Mother Experience. So this 2-hour conversation is about our Black moms, our single moms, our co-parenting moms. We had the Black Dad Experience 2 weeks ago. So all the men out there, we want you guys to come hear what our sisters have to say, and let's learn from it and make better community and better fathers in our community. So this Sunday's conversation is the Black Mother Experience. Thank you, London Breed. Thank you, Director Davis. Love you guys. Continue to do. The community supports you. We here. I can see it in the chats. Everybody love you, and we're going to continue to push for you.
Have an amazing day. Evening.
Guys, bye.